Why do you lighting looks off to me? Maybe it's just the colors we're wearing.
Boom, it could be it. You were wearing brighter colors last week. Because I am kind of chocolate. I don't mind though.
I'm graham cracker, you're Hershey's.
Yes.
Together we make s'mores.
Hey.
Hey everybody, I'm Jalen.
And I'm Cacie.
And these are the Jalen and Cacie stories.
You're my girl, you're the type of woman to make a man get right. You're my world, you keep my mind spinning all through the night.
Wait.
Can Tauntaun rest on your
No, babe, stop.
on your head wrap?
I'm sending Tauntaun on a vacation.
On a vacation. Where does Tauntaun go for vacation?
I don't know, Smithville. Y'all catch that later if you know anything about bacon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. All right. Your pillow's distracting me.
Okay, well, I need my pillow.
Anyway, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Jalen and Cacie stories. So today we are talking about proper expectations in marriage. I was thinking of different titles for this. I was like unrealistic expectations, managing expectations, but I think the problem with those two ways of saying it is that it sends the wrong message or the wrong idea of what I'm trying to say here. And so what I mean is very clear. I actually have notes today.
Yeah.
Look all this writing. I have a lot of notes.
Y'all know it's going to be serious if he got notes.
Well, no, so we were talking about this, what was it, last night,
Yeah.
I think. And it was like one of those times where we were like yelling back and forth, like, yeah, and I got this, and I got, all the revelation of this topic. So I feel like everything that we do is inspired by the Holy Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
But I really feel like this is straight from God to you, wanting to tell you something about what it is that we're talking about tonight. So don't miss this one. Tune in, stay tuned, listen all the way through. Shout out to people that watch them all the way through.
Yes.
That watch time goes all the way
if you
through.
watch this video all the way through, just put a hand up.
Yeah.
Raise your hand in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know those who watch it to beginning to end.
Yeah. And we do appreciate you guys and all the wonderful feedback we've been getting. So talking about expectations. So I think where this came from is we follow. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram. We're at Jalen and Cacie. Very simple.
That's where all the action really happens.
Yeah, a
It's
lot of
on
fun
Instagram.
happens there. But so we follow a lot of different marriage accounts and things, or like single living accounts and all that kind of stuff. And I purposely follow a lot of like, Christian marriage, godly marriage, Instagram accounts. But I've just noticed some trends between following those accounts and then also kind of seeing the community of people when it comes to dating, not all the Christian, but just dating, relationships, things like that. There's a lot of stuff you just kind of see on social media, particularly Instagram. That's where we reside the most. And so I've kind of picked up on what the culture is right now and what people are thinking and believing about marriage, about relationships.
And just some of our own personal expectations
Yeah.
that we've, prior to marriage that we had.
Yeah.
That we learned that was wrong.
Yeah. So let's talk about expectation. What does it mean to expect something? So I feel like it's kind of like going to a restaurant and everybody's talked really good about it. And then you go to that restaurant, you eat the food, and you realize it's not at all what everyone said it was. And then you go back to the people that talked about it, and they come up with all these reasons why it was different for you. Like, you didn't go on the right day, or you didn't order the right food, or is there something wrong with you? And so it's this mixed perception of like, does everyone else not know what they're talking about? Is there something wrong with me? Am I the only one? Or maybe I know what I'm talking about, and they just don't. They just have bad taste. But it's all about your perception. But the whole point is you went in there with an expectation, and then your expectation got disappointed. And I feel like that's what happens a lot in marriage. You go with these high expectations, and they get disappointed.
Just wrong expectations, because we don't want to preach that
exactly
you shouldn't have high expectations. We'll clarify that more, but I think we just go with improper balance with our expectations, and some of the things that we are wanting in the beginning or prior to marriage, you don't really get until you get into marriage and you develop.
Yeah,
and we'll talk a lot about that too.
So go ahead, and I'll let you kind of take this part of kind of explaining what were some of your expectations. What did you want out of marriage? What did you expect out of marriage? What did you expect to happen?
I had a list. Y'all know about the list I had prior to marriage, and I had an idea of how my husband was going to be, or how I wanted him to be, so that I could be happy. I felt like I needed him to look a certain way, have certain things, come a certain way, at a certain time in my life. All these things in order for it to be good enough for me. And I felt like I was deserving,
Yep.
of all of those things. And if it didn't come that way, then
It wasn't right.
it wasn't right. It must not be God if he came any other way. When I was in my early 20s, I wasn't really thinking about marriage as hardcore. But then when I got like 25 and I wasn't married, then it was like, okay, what's up, God? And then when I passed 25 and I'm still not married, then it became, all right, God, you putting me through. So when I get married, he must gonna be amazing. Like he must gonna shake my world because ain't no way you making me wait this long for some scrub. Like that ain't gonna happen. So.
Well, I think what we got to understand is this: marriage is a promotion. It's not a reward.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference there, because if you walk around thinking it's a reward for your good behavior, you're going to be grossly disappointed when you realize that marriage is a project.
Yes. Definitely.
That's what it is. See, when you get a promotion on a job, you're excited because you got the raise. You're excited because now you got an office. You think about all the perks sometimes, but you're not thinking about the new responsibility. And there's a lot of perks with marriage. If you were a virgin before you got married, one of the perks is you get to have sex. That's a nice perk. One of the perks is, in most cases, hopefully, financial security is a little bit better than it was alone. Hopefully, companionship, friendship, you get to build a person. There's a lot of different perks that we think about getting married.
Starting, having family,
having like that. So, especially in a Christian way, you're thinking, okay, this is going to be a reward for me. But marriage is not a reward; it's a promotion. And so, because it's a promotion and it's a project, it comes with responsibilities.
And it's something that you qualify for.
Exactly.
If you're doing it right. Now, best believe there are a lot of people married, but they really, honestly, didn't qualify for marriage. They were adults. You can go down to the courthouse and get a license and stand in front of a preacher and boom, you're declared married. But a lot of people really didn't qualify for marriage the way the Bible talks about.
Yeah.
And that's where we're trying to get to.
Yeah, exactly. And so from the biblical standpoint, we look at Adam in the garden, what qualified him was productivity. Was him working an assignment God gave him, and then he brought Eve, helped meet to help fulfill the assignment. And that's what you got to look at marriage as a promotion, because now you're getting a partner to help you fulfill the assignment that God put on your life. But when you look at it as a self-centered, selfish reward, it's like, this is coming to rescue me from loneliness. This is coming to be my reward for being chaste and pure and not having sex with anybody before marriage. This is my reward for being a good Christian person. And I'm probably going to talk more from the standpoint of the woman, because I feel like that's a lot of what you see in the culture and the social media from the woman's perspective, believing God for a man. Not saying that men don't too, but I think just generally you're going to hear us talk from that.
Like, we know there's some people, we got some people in mind right now that are men and they are hungry for a wife. And I think they're going about it the wrong way. But because especially the older you become and you feel like I'm a good person, why isn't this happening for me at this time?
What happens is you start setting the bar higher and higher and higher, and you begin to say, the reason why everyone else around me got married and I haven't is because they settled.
Yeah.
And God's preparing me for the super spouse, the super husband, the super wife. Exactly. That's so much better. And you keep setting the bar higher because you can't explain why you're not married
but
yet.
At the same time, while you setting the bar higher and higher and trying to understand why others are getting married, you're not. You're also building insecurity about yourself, because then you're questioning what's wrong with me. Yeah. Am I good looking enough? Am I, whatever the case may be, you start questioning yourself. Why don't a man want me? Or why don't a woman want me as their husband or their wife? Why? And then you can get into self-loathing. And it's an up and down emotional roller coaster, because I was there at one point. Yeah. And realizing, once I learned from God that wife is a promotion and it's something you have developed for, and God has to ordain you wife. Because the Bible talks about he that findeth a wife. Wife is not something you become once you say I do in front of a preacher. It's a position in your heart that you take that comes through development, comes through spending time with God. And it's a very submissive position. And when I say submissive, I know y'all going to a whole new level, but you have to submit to God. Yeah. Because God has to be able to direct your heart as a wife. So when you get to that place with God, that's when God can say, okay, you qualify to be a wife, and now I'm going to send you a husband. And the struggle is over. You got to stop worrying within yourself about this issue of marriage as to why I'm not married. I'm 40 years old. Why I'm not married? I'm 40. I'm getting older. Why I'm not married? Because you're not a wife yet. Because a wife is at rest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm serious. At that moment when I became at peace with myself, and I mean like for real legit, where it was me and God and I was having fun, that's when it was proposed to me that you could be my husband. And I was baffled. I can remember just talking just a few days ago with family, just how baffled I was by my dad was the one who told me. And I was like, what? Like, wait, what? And I wasn't even like happy, or I was kind of numb about it because I'm like, I'm in a good place right now. Like, what?
Leave me alone.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I finally found myself. I got my stride. I'm good. I'm not striving to be married anymore. And I think that's when you know you're ready, when you're not striving anymore.
And here's the thing. So from my perspective, it was a maturing process for me too. See, people be like, well, how are you going to be a wife before you get married? How are you going to be a husband before you get married? Well, you don't let a doctor operate on you until they've been certified a doctor, and then they're allowed to practice their being a doctor. They got to become a doctor before they're allowed to actually operate as a doctor. So you got to become a husband before you're allowed to operate on someone as a husband. You know, if you're not certified by God, you don't need to be doing it.
Exactly.
So I went through this real long maturing process, and because a lot of times we do it from this perspective, we're training all the Christian women, become a wife so a man can find you. As if all these godly men are just walking the planet. No, they're maturing too. They've got I didn't just pop out this way. And we're going to talk about how you're still not perfect even at that point. But anyway, so I went through this maturing process to the point where I realized I needed a wife in order to fulfill the assignment that God had on my life. And I saw Cacie, and I was in awe of the woman that she had become right before my eyes. We were friends the whole time. And I was like, yo, I want her. I want to be hooked up with that. You know, it wasn't just domineering thing, like I'm just going to take her and whatever. It was just like, I want to be hooked up with that because I believe we can do great things together. And I believe it's what everyone wants in marriage. Any single person saying, that's what I want. You know, I want to be hooked up with someone. We can do great things together, you know, but it just seems like it's so far out of reach. Well, here's what I want you to quote unquote manage expectations. I'm not saying what you probably think I'm saying. When I say manage expectations, I'm telling you to have desires placed in your heart by God, to be led by God. You mentioned having a list. And so what you are wanting probably, and this goes vice versa, man to woman, woman to man, you're wanting someone with all these godly spiritual qualities straight up from the get-go. And a lot of times we say, well, I want someone I can grow together with. But a lot of times we don't actually mean that. We don't actually mean that. We mean, I want someone financially stable, but we can go into millionaire status together. I want someone that, you know, is a man of God who could preach the gospel, and then we'll just grow into ministry together, you know. I want someone who's already great at sex, and then we're going to grow into, I don't know what the next level is beyond that, but it's still a baseline of what you want there. And what we're not doing is preparing ourselves to work with, I don't want to say a mess, but work with a baby and let it grow into maturity. And babies kind of look like a mess when they start. They're crying, they're kicking, they're pooping all over themselves. It's very disorderly. It almost looks chaotic. But there's potential here to grow into something amazing, but you got to raise it.
We're not preparing to work with the vision of God for our lives. So since we're not truly in tune with the vision of God for our lives, we go handpicking what we think we need to be successful.
And never consult God on it.
And never really consult God about it. And I want you to get into your notes because I know what your notes are saying. And because we start picking and choosing attributes based off of our past hurts, fears, phobias, or things that we've seen other people go through, and we feel like, well, I don't want none of that. So let me guard myself, and I'm going to ask for this, ask for that, ask for this, ask for that. And then on top, in between all of that, it's good that he's born again. He needs to know God. He loves God. And we say all the right stuff, but we're really not connected with that because these desires we have are not really being orchestrated by God.
So let me make this first statement. a lot of times people are letting their abuse shape their image of the man or woman that they want. So, and they're not letting vision craft the image of the spouse that they want. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is whether you've been through a lot of broken relationships, maybe even past marriages, or you've seen it in your family or someone around you, you create a law unto yourself. And I actually got this from Jimmy Evans. He said about people who do this. It's very powerful. You create this law unto yourself about, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to have that. I'm never going to be in a relationship where the man doesn't give me the attention I need. If he don't text back, I'm cutting him off. I'm never going to be in a relationship with someone who don't have their finances together. If they can't keep a job, whatever like that, I'm cutting them off. I'm never going to be in a relationship with someone who has a clingy family. If they do, then I'm cutting them off. And all these things sound good, right? You don't want to have to deal with any of those things. But what happens is you create these laws unto yourself shaped by your abuse, not shaped by God. God didn't put these desires in you. Your fear of being hurt and abused put this in you, you know? So it's like a dog that gets to a good family, but they were abused all their lives. They're reacting negatively, and they got to be retrained to not bite at the people who are actually trying to take care of them and love them. And a lot of times you will push away the love of God. I'm not talking about the love of a man or woman, but you'll push away the love of God to you because you're just trying to escape abuse, and you're having this system of self-preservation. And you can't form a vision for marriage based on self-preservation, because marriage is all about sacrificing yourself.
And I don't think we realize the negative energy we put out when we have those type of guards in our life. And we think we're not doing that. Like, I'm good. I laugh, I smile. But because of your fears and your phobias about entering into a relationship and being 100% vulnerable and open, we send off that energy. When people get close to you, they can sense that, oh, she's not ready, or he's not ready because he got some walls up, or she got some walls up that is prohibiting a relationship that could be fruitful.
And you got this list that wall is made up of a list that says these are all my red flags, and I'm not going past this. And please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have markers of like, yes, go with someone who's born again, go with someone who walks by faith. You know, there are certain things. I'm not saying that you just throw everything away and just grab the first sinner off the street and you're a born again person. That's not going to work.
And not even preaching that your husband shouldn't have a job. I mean, it should work.
Definitely.
Like, we're not saying
but
that.
I'm just talking about past experiences creating this system so that, and I'll get further into it so that you understand what I'm saying. So, because one thing I want to say for sure is this: I wrote this as the Lord gave it to me. We are not preaching lowering your standards. We're not talking about that. We're preaching being led by God. Here's what we mean. The problem is no one ever lets God reveal their spouse to them.
Yeah.
You build your spouse in your mind based on your past hurts, based on your fantasies about what you want, based on competing with other people. That happens a lot.
Yeah,
you see what everyone's got, and you're like, well, I'm going to have it better because they did it before me, so I'm going to come out a little bit later, but it's going to be better. You will literally, you want to search a marriage, godly marriage hashtag, and you will find some post proclaiming that the reason you haven't gotten yours yet is because yours is better. Like you'll say, God's got something special for you, and that's the reason why you haven't gotten yours yet, everyone else did. And so that builds a mentality that, yes, I'm special, I'm better, and I'm doing the right thing. They did it wrong. They settled. But God's going to give me something so much more special. Be careful of that.
And be very careful of judging other relationships.
Yeah.
Because you don't live their relationship 24/7.
No.
You don't know what they're working with and what they're dealing with. And when we see something negative happen in a relationship, in a marriage, we automatically say, yep, see, they married wrong. Or he ain't no good, or she ain't no good. And you go down the whole list, and we just judge them, not knowing all the ins and outs. We look on the outside in, especially if you've never been married before.
Oh, yeah.
Like
definitely.
single people, keep your
Sit
mouths
down.
off of marriage. Just take 2, 3, 5 seats, please. Because being married is not a cakewalk, and it's not for the faint of heart. It's glorious, it has great reward when it's done God's way, but it is sacrifice. And those two people may be struggling right now.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they may have gone through some hard stuff, some terrible things. But if they allow God to get in the middle of it, God can restore. I've seen God restore marriages over and over and over again. It's a beautiful testimony, a beautiful thing. But don't sit back and judge and say what you wouldn't do, and you ain't never walked in their shoes. Because what you're doing, you're building seeds of insecurity for your own future, for your own life. Because the moment you see any sign
exactly
that's what's happening to you, you can run scared.
Yep. because you associate all that with bad marriage. Some of the struggles you see in other people's marriages aren't signs of a bad marriage. It's signs of growth.
Yes.
They're going through those growing pains, and you have to run into conflict in order to grow. You got to run into conflict to realize and run under pressure to realize this is what's wrong with me, this is what's wrong with you, and they start butting up against each other, and then you grow. You know, all this growth that we're up here talking about, how much we've grown and everything, came out of a lot of conflict, came out of a lot of disagreement. Now, we were small enough to preserve ourselves and not broadcast for everyone to see, but if anyone saw it, they would have thought, y'all ain't right for each other.
Well, let me
y'all got a problem.
Look, not for real. But I can just, in my own self, watching my parents, your parents, go through some of their hard times. Yeah. And I can remember just sitting back and like, see, if I was mama, I wouldn't take that.
Oh, I did that a million times, judging my parents and said I would do it differently
when I get married and blah, 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 blah. Got married. And now I'm saying to myself, mama, I don't know how you did it. I can understand, like, oh my God. And now I admire my mother even more so because I understand just a little bit as to what it takes to be a wife and to persevere and to love and to just, it's definitely something that you need to have the grace of God to walk through.
And until you do it, you can't judge them on it. Because I used to judge my parents. Yeah. I used to see them, you know, back when I was younger, they would have fights or arguments, you know. And I would look at that and be like, well, I'm not going to do that. Or I would assume why I thought it was happening. And I was like, well, I'll make sure I set up my life so that none of that stuff would ever happen. You know, when I was young, my parents had financial issues and stuff, and we went through that. So I was like, well, I'm going to make sure before I get married, I'm going to be a millionaire. Guess what? That didn't happen. Guess what? We had financial issues. Guess what? We had arguments and I won't say fight. We never really fought much. But we had a lot of arguments, disagreements. And then I realized, okay, I see the problem here.
Yeah, it don't take much.
I was assuming that when you just truly love someone, you don't argue. I was wrong about that. I assumed that, you know, if you had a good head on your shoulders, you would never run into any financial incidents or things that you didn't expect to see coming. I was wrong about that. There's a lot of things we assume, we think we know until you get into it. But it's a part of the project of marriage.
And understand that our parents didn't have half of the understanding we have about the things of God when they first got married.
Yeah, and then they taught it to us.
And they didn't have people like us sitting them down, counseling them, talking to them about marriage, the pitfalls, and how to overcome. They didn't have that. All they knew is that I love God and I love each other, but they didn't know how to navigate through marriage what we do. Now they're teaching us, hey, don't do this.
Half of what there is what they've taught us from their trial and error and from revelation from God. And so we had a leg up so that we could avoid a lot of pitfalls they had and get through them faster. All right, here we go. So no one ever lets God reveal their spouses to them. We come up with our own stuff. I'll explain what we do. We make a list of demands based on our past hurts, competition with other people, what we think we deserve as a reward, and amongst Christians for remaining a virgin. Marriage is not a reward, it's a promotion to a new job, which means you need to be equipped to perform this new assignment. That's where the growth of becoming a husband and becoming a wife comes in, and we were talking about. Here's the thing. Let's close to this. The spouse you get is not designed to check off your list. They're designed to be your partner in fulfilling the assignment.
Amen.
Marriage is going to be a mind-boggling thing for you. Marriage is not for you. It's for God. He designed it for himself. Now, he built in great pleasure and satisfaction in it. Everything that God does builds great pleasure and satisfaction. Loving Jesus and knowing Jesus, great pleasure and satisfaction in that. Marriage, great pleasure and satisfaction. But he still made it for himself. So we look at it as, God, you're rewarding me with marriage. God's like, no, this is me. This is for me. I'm putting you two together because I'm still trying to get something done here. And the moment we take our eyes off of God and the assignment of the gospel and start thinking that marriage is all about us, that's when we start failing. So they're not designed to check off that list. They're your partner in fulfilling assignment. So does that mean that you won't like your spouse? Does that mean you won't find them attractive? Does that mean that now you got to look for the most drudgery, worst, broken down looking person and be like, God has given you to me because you are not my reward, but you are my cross to bear so that we can fulfill God's assignment.
Yeah, whole mentality, the more raggedy you are, the more holy you are.
No. That's not true. Pleasure and satisfaction is built into the blessed life. You look at what the blessing is as God gave it to Adam and Eve and Abraham. It is the blessed life. You will have all of that, but you will have all of that satisfaction in marriage if you work the principles of marriage accordingly. It does not happen by itself. That's the problem. I think we think if I marry the one, I'm not going to have problems everyone else had because I married the one. And so we're going to have pleasure and satisfaction. Real talk, you can marry the right person, the one that God wanted you with, and still end up unhappy, dissatisfied, and even in divorce if you don't work the principles of marriage properly.
Amen.
We weren't working the principles of marriage and communication properly when we first got married. And so we were unhappy, even though God set this up. We
Yep.
go back and say God set this up. Now that we're working the principles properly, we're so happy we get all this pleasure and satisfaction, but only because we work the principles. So do not think that the thing that's wrong with everyone else is that they married the wrong person. Now, if they're truly falling apart in their marriage, they're just not working the principles.
Right.
Any two people that work the principles can have a satisfying marriage. But you can get the right person and still fall apart if you're not willing to properly work the principles of being a husband or being a wife. Marriage is not a magic wand, and it is not your finish line. It's the beginning of a whole new leg of your journey of faith that you're taking jointly with another person. All right, so we're going to stop right there and we're going to pick up with part 2. No, seriously, because not only do I want to get further into this, because I got more to say about expectations, but I want to now talk about why you should still have high expectations for marriage. Because we got done kind of breaking you down and making you feel like, okay, I've been looking at this wrong. But don't worry, we're going to encourage you next week, because then we want to talk about how you're actually supposed to raise your expectations beyond even what the world is showing you about what marriage should be.
That's right.
So thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell so that you'll know when we release the next video. Love you guys. See you next week.